Hi, everybody. This is Mark Kantor from South Florida Intervention, and I'm being joined today by my lovely wife, Julie, who is the founder of Kantor, which is also a similar organization in that she helps people out, but in the workplace as opposed to at home, the way I do. So,
hi there.
Say hi.
Hi.
So yesterday I posted a video. This morning I posted a meme that said sometimes the best way to help somebody out is to work on yourself. And the reason I posted that is that had come up a couple of times in conversations with families over the last couple of days, where hearing their stories, hearing what's going on, and they've asked me, what can we do? And after hearing the stories, I said, work on yourself. Instead of focusing on the other person, trying to fix the other person, focus on self-improvement. And I told somebody this story that actually involves you. When I first got sober, Julie and I had this, I feel like we had this kind of shame and shameless thing going on. And I always, Julie was always full of
I was always right.
She was always right. Correct. Julie always had tremendous self-esteem. And I kind of lacked self-esteem. And one night I remember we're laying in bed, this is 16 years ago, and we're both reading magazines. And you put your magazine down and you looked over at me and you started to issue a complaint, and I got all like, I panicked. What am I going to do? And then it occurred to me, and I looked at you and I said, "You almost got me." And I picked my magazine up and I continued reading, and then you picked your magazine up and continued reading, and that was it. And I think a lot of my self-esteem issues, though not your fault, I think these issues cause other people to act in a way or be in a position they don't want to be in. So that's a good example of where having done the work on myself was making it better for everybody. It was making it better for you too. So I really believe that. I really believe that, for me, when other people are, they say in AA, when other people feel, when someone else is acting, when everyone's an asshole, you need a meeting, and that's true, so when everybody starts to feel like, I just can't handle everybody, it's me that I need the fixing. I need the meeting. I need the exercise. I need the self-reflection or whatever it is.
I think that what you're saying, which I agree with, ties to, when you were in treatment, I went through a family program at the Betty Ford Center. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was an amazing therapist who really wanted to work with us. Mm-hmm. And he said there was a lot of energy between us. And as long as the energy was there, like he could work with us. Yeah. And he basically said, you guys need to bury your marriage. Right. Like put it, bury it and then dance on top of it. That you had to change your marriage, and he said to you, and Mark, you need to, instead of basically fighting or said, Julie, stop trying to fix him. Right. Don't fix him. Work on yourself. And Mark, if you, don't fight with Julie, go to a meeting. Mm-hmm. Go work on yourself, go to a meeting. And, I think that was the first realization I had in our marriage, mm-hmm. that, you shouldn't try to fix the other person. People fundamentally don't want to be fixed. And you're going to be far more successful, as we were in our marriage, when the person works on themselves. Right. And absolutely. If you are married or in a relationship with an addict, make no mistake about it, you've gotten sick too. Even if you're the parent, this is just a spouse, the parent, sibling, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. You're having stomach aches. You're having blackouts or brownouts. You're stressed. You feel angry. You feel victimized. You feel betrayed. And it's so painful that you start moving towards yelling or screaming or pleading or manipulation or trying to impose consequences, and a lot of things don't work because you don't know what you're dealing with. You're dealing with addiction. And I think so you do get very self-righteous, as I did, and you get sick, and your hair starts falling out, you start gaining weight, you feel like shit.
It almost, there are family members that have the same symptoms as an active alcoholic or addict that they're living with, but they're not using drugs. We like to say
the joy is sucked out of your life, and you have to reclaim you. But you can't reclaim you by fixing the addict in your life. You have to put the focus back on yourself and work on yourself, because again, we get sick too. And I know what I can tell you.
And that's why it's a family disease.
It's absolutely a family disease.
And that's why when we do an intervention and we say to the parents and the spouse and the children, say, you got to go to family program, or you got to go to Al-Anon, and they say, but I didn't do anything. I'm not the alcohol. I'm not the addict. When
I got a phone call, I had a 2-year-old, our 2-year-old daughter at home, and I got that phone call. You had just gone to treatment. This was 16 years ago. You had just gone to treatment, and all of a sudden the house was going to be like quiet for a month. And we had our 2-year-old beautiful daughter who's 17 now, almost 18. And I got a phone call, and they said, we want you to fly, from the East Coast to the West Coast and come spend a week with your husband, where he is in treatment. And that was like the last thing I wanted to do. I mean, I was like, I will survive. Hey, hey. I was singing. I was going to spend time with my girlfriends. I was going to just get my life back a bit. But they said these very important words about the family program. They said, Julie, you're not coming for him. You're coming for you.
Right.
And that's, and then my father-in-law, your dad was wonderful. And my mother-in-law came in to watch our kid. And I went out. And I went through the family program and got a world-class education on addiction. And I didn't realize I was sick. I didn't realize, everything I was doing was wrong. Like nothing I was doing was going to save our marriage at the time.
Right.
And
you tried everything.
I absolutely tried everything. And I felt so victimized. But what has been amazing about our marriage is you fixed you. You went to treatment, you got sober from, particular prescription medications. You got sober, you worked on you. And I remember the first year saying to you, basically, okay, I'll hang in there because I don't want another woman raising our daughter.
Right.
I'll just hang it, I had no hope for our marriage before you went to treatment.
Right. And I didn't want another guy raising my daughter either. I would have hated that.
And I loved you. I never stopped loving you, but I didn't have a lot of faith. And you did you worked on you, and you came back. And I remember the first year, I think I was there for Justine and saying to you, seeing you go into the program, seeing you get help from a sponsor and working the steps, seeing you helping so many other people once you got it. I remember you becoming someone I could really look up to and admire. And so at the beginning it was, I think we were sticking it out for our kid. And then after a year, it's like, wait, I'm here for me.
Right.
This is a good deal. I've got this great, handsome, husband who's growing and I can look up to and respect and learn from. I remember I was so pissed off at someone in the office. I was so upset by someone's behavior and being very stressed and distraught and coming back home and just mouthing off. And you looked at me and you said, Julie, don't let her live rent-free in your head.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm doing that? And so you were learning things, and then, so it was just not trying to fix another person, but working on yourself, putting the focus on yourself, going to Al-Anon meetings. For any family member out there, it's kind of an imperative because you didn't realize how distraught you had gotten in dealing with addiction as I had. I feel it. It was 16 years ago and I still feel it. But I also wow, since that advice of not trying to fix each other, I don't know how many. I mean, how many times a year do we get in a real fight?
Not a lot, and it's I was
Even COVID, we're
we're
inside 24/7. When do we fight?
I remember I think one of the last big fights we got into, and we're in the car, and I got out of the car and I left you at the car, and I called my sponsor and I said, yeah, I can't do this, blah blah. And he said to me, this was Carl, and he said to me, had it ever occurred to you that you could listen to what she has to say, no matter how wrong or right she may be, and then not respond, just say thank you for sharing with me and walk away? And the answer was no. I had never considered that. That was the idea that you were going to hear what somebody else had to say, and just take it in and appreciate it and not respond to it was, I mean, there was no way that was ever going to happen. But those are the things that that recovery is made of, you know. And for me, you know, I found Al-Anon, and you know, when I go to YouTube and I want to listen to a speaker, more often than not, I'm going to Al-Anon than I am AA, and that makes sense, because for me, I always held this false belief that if I were a better person, other people would be happy. So their unhappiness to me felt like I'm failing, right? And it had nothing to do with me, you know. And or the idea that if a couple gets into a fight, if we got into a fight, that it had to be fixed that night. You couldn't go to bed till it was fixed. But the truth is, it'll keep till tomorrow, and most of the time it's forgotten about, and you can't remember what it was about, and it's past. And I think, and I did say this to somebody this week, I said a lot of the problems in a person's life will solve themselves if you let them. Time will heal that problem. Just let it. If you let it pass, it will heal itself. But because we want to tinker, because we want to inject ourselves into the problem, it gets legs and it grows and it goes on and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. How are some of your clients? I mean, I hear you talking with family members that have loved ones that are in treatment. Or you're trying to get them all on the same page to stage an intervention so that their loved one gets to treatment. And, you know, how are you dealing, you know, because a lot of times you're being brought in right in the middle of a family crisis.
Yeah.
They are beyond themselves.
Yeah.
And devastated.
Yeah.
And fearful. And, you know, how do you get people, you know, and they want to fight each other sometimes.
Right. Yep.
You know, for 20-year-old hurts. How do you work to get people kind of on the same page so that they can be productive and work together
and stay focused
on the task at hand of getting their loved one in treatment? What do you do? What are some of the things you found?
Yeah, that's a good. So when a family comes to me, I feel like I'm often looking at a bowl of spaghetti. It's all intertwined and intermeshed, and so what we start to do is we take the bowl of spaghetti, we start taking the pieces off, we just put it here and put that there, and then we, you know, first of all, we identify who the patient is, the identified patient, and that has to be the focus. And there's a focus and there's a goal, and the goal is to get them into treatment, get them into recovery. But the goal is also to avoid distractions. You know, getting into years of, you know, like you said, you 30-year-old resentment,
right?
You know, and I'm not saying that doesn't matter, that doesn't have to be worked on, but we're just not going to work on it.
Yeah, because everyone's I mean, I hear it sometimes.
Yeah,
everyone's pointing the finger at everyone else,
and they want to make it about themselves.
Oh, too. Yeah. There's a lot of pain and you know, and fear there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be hard to get people, you know, towards productivity of getting with the end goal, I guess, of getting their loved one into treatment. And then I know you're also trying to encourage them to get into Al-Anon or get into a family program themselves, which I highly recommend.
Yeah. No, it's just about I keep bringing them back. You know, during an intervention, you know, families often say to me, how are you going to get so-and-so into treatment? And the answer is, I'm not. You are. I'm there. My value is in the prep work. You know, 80% of the work or 90% of the work is done before I even meet the addict. Right. When that addict walks into that room, I've already been working with the family for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And part of what I do is, you know, that spending the day with them before, it's preparing them. we go over the what ifs. I have a list of 50 objections that somebody's going to give for not going to treatment: the work, the school, the cat, the dog, the job, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we role play how to handle those things. Some of those things are rational concerns, and when they are rational concerns, like childcare, you better have a good answer. So we work on that. But
troubleshooting through
troubleshooting,
whatever objection you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while somebody comes up with something new, but hardly, that not really. It's fear. It's just the same fear described in 50 different ways.
Yeah, they don't necessarily see the benefit for themselves, yet.
I think that they see the benefit, they know there's a problem, but the fear of getting up and going to treatment, it takes a lot of courage, because, to the addict, the drug and alcohol is the solution.
Right.
When I discovered pills for the first time, I didn't say, "Oh my God, this is horrible, I've discovered pills." I said,
this is helping.
I've been looking for this my whole entire life. My whole life,
right.
I feel insecure. I have self-esteem issues. The world is black and white, and somebody hands me a pill, and all of a sudden I'm in it's super high HD. This is not the problem. This is the solution, right? But to the family, the drugs and alcohol is the problem. So there's that disconnect. We have to bridge that. And, so the addicts will literally saying that, so you're going to take my solution away, and I'm supposed to be grateful for that. And the answer is, ultimately they will be. And also, for me, I also thought that at times when I didn't have pills, I started going through withdrawal, which was a very, was physically and emotional pain. It was physically painful. I'd be falling asleep. There are physical pains that go along with it. It was kind of like flu symptoms. And for me, I thought that withdrawal or not having drugs would always be like, so the rest of my life is going to be like that, right? That's what sobriety means. And it's not true at all, because you go to a qualified treatment center, they medically detox you, makes it a lot easier. They have prescribed medicines that work, that you can detox, so you don't have the pain and the discomfort.
You missed her. I mean, I've heard you over the years just like, oh my God, if I could just go back there for another 30 days. Like, you loved it.
Yeah.
You loved it. You have this rose-colored glasses of that 30 days in treatment. I mean, it didn't hurt that it was...
Only in hindsight.
Yeah, you appreciated it.
Yeah, when you're there, I mean, it's like youth. It's wasted on the young. Treatment's wasted on the new. Because, I spent the 30 days, which, by the way, is a very, very short period of time for treatment. And when we're talking about treatment now, we're really looking at 90 days plus. We're looking at a full year program with inpatient, outpatient, IOP, HP, outpatient, intensive outpatient, and sober living or structured living. So we're really looking at a year program for recovery. A month is very short. But basically, I spent 3 weeks of that month just trying to get over myself. And, if I went back tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, I could really
embrace it all.
Embrace it, so see the value in what I'm doing, and there were so many what I call God moments when I was in treatment, but I'm not going to realize that at the moment. I realize those in hindsight. So yeah, it's kind of wasted on them. So I think it's the fear, and I think once people get into treatment and they see what's going on there and they see the facility, well, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
I
mean, it sounds like from your meme, if everyone could just take their flashlight and not shine it at each other, but shine it on themselves and focus on their health and their treatment. And everyone needs to go through some type of sobering up and sobriety.
Yeah.
Then it would be a lot easier to have some success in recovery, because everyone in the family's in some form of recovery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone.
Absolutely.
And, I think a lot of times, because of this sort of self-righteous indignation, they'll say, like, when you get help, all my problems will be solved. As long as you're better, then all the problems go away. But it's not the case.
It's not the case. Yeah. Yeah. No. And I remember early in sobriety hearing for the first time the saying, or do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And when you want to be right more than happy.
Yeah, that leads to divorce.
Yeah, when you want to be happy more than right, then you're on your way to recovery.
You have, there's some potential for the family to stay together. If you are so driven by, I want to be right here, you'll probably get divorced. But if you, there's too much evidence. But I think one thing that's also really important is to understand addiction as a disease.
Yeah.
Because you can point the finger and say, I'm right, look at all these horrible things or lying or betrayal that this person has done. But if you understand addiction to be a disease, which it is, like cancer, like leukemia, I was reading, when you went to treatment, I was reading Addictive Thinking. I think that was a book, Addictive Thinking, or Addictive Personalities.
Yeah, it's a well-known book, Addictive Thinking. It's a small book.
By Hazelton.
Yeah.
And one of the things it said that changed my view on everything was that when someone is an addict, it's like they've had an alien invasion into their body. And so the person you love is, so here's like the person you love. The addict, invasion comes in and it starts taking over that person's body. So no longer are you looking at Mark, my husband, but you're looking at this invasion of the addict. And in that same body, the person you love and the addict are at war with themselves.
Right.
So you're at war with your family member. You're at war. You're so angry, but they within their own bodies are at war with the addict in their body.
Yeah.
And they're losing. Trust me, unless they get help, unless they get into recovery, they will always lose.
Yeah.
The addict is...
Yeah, you always lose. It's what people say is that every day they started out the day and said, today I'm not going to drink. Today I'm going to, for me it was, I'm going to take as prescribed today. But you go on and it's just, that is not the case. And it's Groundhog Day. I mean, every day I'm not going to drink today, and every day you drink.
Well, it's kind of like, it's like coffee, okay, I'm just going to have one cup today and I feel tired. It's 2:00. Give me another cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I need more.
Well, good talk. Also, just to wrap up, I'm getting a little bit closer with the book, which I'm excited about. And I think that's going to...
I love the new cover.
Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you. And I think that's going to help a lot of people. The book consists of my own story plus how to do an intervention and things like that. And I think people will read it.
For parents, right?
For parents, yeah. So it's called How to Do an Intervention, a step-by-step guide for parents. But the material is applicable to anybody, to, spouses, siblings, friends, whatever. But I'm really, I'm happy with the way it came out. I like it. So I'm glad. So anyway, thanks for joining me for another great video. And
anytime.
And I'm glad that it all, in the end, worked out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.